are working too much. They are really exhausting themselves. They know they need to hire, but they're afraid to. They're afraid of, do I have the money? What if I spend the money and these people aren't producing? So now I'm just losing money, right? There's a lot of reasons why they're hesitating. And a lot of times it's because they've already been burned before. They've hired somebody that said they were amazing, but unfortunately, maybe they didn't know how to train, how to really hire the right people and maximize that team. So then it was kind of like a lost cause. Like, oh, I already spent all this money, I already wasted so much. It's kind of like you've been in a bad relationship and you're nervous to try it again. That is how a lot of these people are when they come to me. I try to get them to understand. It's just they've been doing it in an ineffective way. They haven't been attracting the A player, right? So sometimes, yeah, this person wasn't great and they just weren't at the level you needed. So I really teach them like what to say in the interview, how to scare them even. Like, I don't know if you heard Amy talking about how her team, she said like, we work. And like even just the way she said it, you know they're hard workers, yep. Right? I want my applicants to know this is not an easy job. Like, we are workers, we love growth, we are trying to always outperform ourselves. If that doesn't sound fun to you, you do not want to work here. Like, people are afraid to scare people, and I want to repel and attract, you know? I want to make sure that I'm attracting the right person. So I think
magnetic, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
When I look at that, all the Dan Kennedy magnetic marketing stuff, I love the idea of a magnet. When it's the right way around, right? It's pulling people in. But if you've ever turned one of the sides of a magnet the opposite direction, it just pushes away.
For sure.
So if you can, like, we talk our core values, we talk what we're about, all that stuff, and mine are extreme ownership, stewardship, hard work, integrity, personal, professional development. So if somebody's not developing themselves on a regular basis, they don't do what they say they're going to do, and do the right thing all the time. If they're not hardworking, and I don't mean like 24 hours a day.
Correct.
I mean when you're working, you are in the zone. Like, you can get more done in the time that you have. You're focused, you're executing, and you're performing at a very high level. Stewardship, they're taking care of the business, the clients. Like, they're really looking at the resources and how they're good stewards of those, and then they take responsibility for everything in their world, right?
Yep.
Do you guys have core values in your company?
We do, and so mine is integrity, kind of like what you said. You do what you said you're going to do, right? And I'm watching for that in the interview process. Are they showing up on time? Are they making excuses? Are they canceling? You know, just anything. Or maybe we do a sample project. I want to see how well they're doing with that. High standards. I am not looking for perfection, but I am absolutely, like, that's where that work ethic comes in. Like, you would never do something for a client that wasn't at our standard, right? I really want to up level and just have that amazing experience. Resourcefulness. Oh man, and this is how I picked my values. I just looked at, like, all of the people that I had fired over the years are just like, something's wrong, this person isn't working out. I'm like, what is irritating me about this situation? And I'd be like, oh my goodness, like, this person's not a team player. Like, that's how we came up with the team player value, because I don't like when somebody's like, not my role, that wasn't my fault, that was Susie, like, blame her. I want my team just jumps in and they will support no matter what department, who's in charge, any of that, right? So that's a big one. And then results driven. And whether that's for our team, like you said, kind of like your stewardship, I want results for our clients, I want results for the team, I want results for them individually and the company as a whole. And we really, like, I can tell yours means something, right? Some people have fluffy core values and it's pretty graphic on their website, but it doesn't really mean anything. We hire, we fire, we reward, we recognize off of our values.
Yeah, and I think that's, like, honestly, that's the thing that allowed us to push past our first ceiling that we hit.
Okay.
We, like, hit this point and we were like, you know, I can't place it, but there's something about the people in the company that they're just not getting us to where we need to go. They got me where I was, but they weren't going to get me any further. And we started to really figure out what that was, and just that core value piece to, like, print. And I had trouble trying to build this out. You know what I did? I tried to build it out with my staff. So we had a 4-hour Zoom meeting before Zoom was cool.
Yeah.
This was like in 2017. 4 hours, and we got them, and everybody was like putting their piece in it. But the thing was, the people that were part of that meeting were not fits for my values. And so what I realized was, and I couldn't even tell you what they were after the meeting.
Yeah.
Like, they were like long sentences, garbage. I didn't like it. I had a business coach tell me at the time, this guy, he gave me this, like, gem, this gold nugget. In 5 minutes, we did my core values. 5 minutes.
Wow.
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of like what you said, you took the people that were not a good fit and said, oh, we need this. But what he said was, he said, write down the 3 people that have been the biggest influence in your life. So 3 people, maybe it's 4, maybe it's 2, whatever. And if it's like a coach or a parent or somebody who raised you or a teacher or something like that, like just all the people that have like defined, because the problem that I had is I don't want to talk about myself, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to be like, oh, I have this value that's
Yes,
really
I'm
valuable.
amazing.
It's incredible. And so you all need to have this,
Yes.
right, to work with me and grow inside my company. So he said, take these 3 people. And so I took these 3 people. It was my dad. My dad is like the biggest influence in my life. He's been the rock. He's been amazing. My dad went to Georgia Tech. I went to Georgia Tech. My dad was in the Navy on submarines. I was in the Navy flying airplanes. I even went on a submarine because he told me to, and I checked it out, and I didn't like it.
Nice.
And so, like, we played similar sports. He was an athlete. I was an athlete. It's just like, I was basically like a mini him growing up, and it's still now. And as a man, for anybody that's listening, like, we basically live to please our father. That's just the way it goes, and it's fact, and we try to break away from it, and anyway. So my dad, I had a commanding officer of mine in the Navy, and I had a soccer coach who, like, we were a really good soccer team, like number 7 in the nation good in high school, and won the state championship every single year. It was just, he was like the soccer celebrity in our entire state, and just taught me serious values. So then he said, so I got my 3 people. You can get them quick, right? And then he said, write down all of the values that they had. Write down all the things that you saw that you loved in them. And so I was making this list, like, really fast, like, oh, Bill Stara, hard worker, he did, this, personal development, all these things. My dad, stewardship, integrity, like, just writing all this stuff down about all 3 of them that I idolized in them. I said, all right, well, those things are your values. What you see in other people is what you inherently have.
Yes.
That's simple. It's a mirror.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, we did it. And he's like, just circle them. And then what we did was we lumped them all into different kinds of values, because all the words were just synonyms of each other. And we came up with 4 or 5. For me, it was 5. For most people, it's like 3 to 5 usually. And that was it. Like, it was done. I was like, this is it. Like, it took me
so
5 minutes. And then the best thing he said at the end was, now what you have to do is you have to write a letter to each one of those 3 people and mail it to them and tell them what we just did, and that they were the biggest influence in your life, how much you appreciate them, how much you love them, how much they changed your life. And I did that for 2 of them. One of them I couldn't find, my coach Bill Stara. But about 2 years ago, he sent me a friend request on Facebook, and I sent him it in a Facebook message.
Oh my goodness.
And we reconnected. It was awesome. So
that's amazing.
So that was like the gold nugget that I got. I absolutely love it.
Well, and I love it because the reason I tell people go with your frustration is when I say, well, just what do you like about certain people? It's hard to like even put a finger on it, but when you say what frustrates you the most, man, it pops up. So I like that it's not about you, it's about somebody else, because it's easy for you to talk about them. So I think your strategy makes so much sense.
It's really hard for people to say. That's why I had my whole team on the call for 4 hours. I was like, what do you guys think it is? Like, what do you, and I'm like, I don't know. Is that our value? And honestly, the people that were on that call, I'm a business partner with one of the guys, but he's not my COO anymore working for me in that company. And the rest of them are gone.
And I was just going to say, you don't want the people, like, if they're creating them and they're not in alignment, right, it's like they're going to present not great values, and you're going to be like, yeah, I guess that's who we are. But it's not about, like, who you currently are. It's about, like, what you're no longer going to tolerate moving forward, who you're going to really, like, put in the stake in the ground and say, this is who we are, this is how we're going to act, how we're going to behave. So I think it's so much harder when you do it with the current team if they're not the right team.